Virgo, my sign of inner intelligence. Welcome to your new moon reading for the Aquarius new moon, the Vedic sidereal zodiac. This one is an opportunity for personal alignment. It's about ending the conflicts we have with our soul, acting in right relation, doing the actual work to clean up the inner warfare so that the external warfare has resolution. And it's occurring in your 6th house in the sidereal chart. And that's co-workers and subordinates. It's about employment, job descriptions, work projects, workplace environments, duties, obligations. And it can be the house of illness, diagnosis, and treatment. It's definitely where that Capricorn stellium has been for the longest time. And I hear there's some things about that in the local environment, hopefully not too close to you. And if you've suffered any losses due to the pandemic, I empathize a lot. Losses seem to be part of it. But, the question, the opportunity that comes here for you is also through the other planets that are right now in Aquarius as we disperse that stellium, right, out of Capricorn. How do you want to orient yourself toward yourself through your creativity? Because Mercury and Neptune are also in Aquarius, and Saturn's influence there on the 6th house makes me think that your creativity may very well be affected by this lunation. But your Golden Thread Tarot card that has come to you is the 10 of Pentacles. And this bodes really well. It keeps coming up. And what's nice about it is it shows us the value of the material world, not just money, but the value of being the soul in a material environment. What you can learn, what you can create, what you can understand about yourself while you're in matter is very important. It's in the Vedic tradition, it's very highly esteemed to be a human, and even the gods come here to do what we do while we're in a human body. The technology that you're in, just the endocrine system alone, is magic and hot real estate in the universe. And as if to say so, the Queen of Wands is here on the other side of your 10 of Pentacles. She's an earthy, nature-based queen. She is generally about willpower, creativity, nature itself, and how the natural world and fire come into our lives, and that creativity, that spirit of creativity, and the way that it can only be expressed in matter is definitely part of this lunar cycle for you. I'm kind of excited about the direction that this is leading. Wow, and you got a signifier right off the bat, and it's a really, really good one. I love the 9 of Cups because it's the innkeeper card. I've spent a lot of time working in hospitality in my life experience, and this fellow has so much emotional contentment that he has enough to share with others. He's got 9 cups lined up there for anybody who's going to come into his inn and stay, probably drink too much and spend the night. In the medieval merchant class, this was probably one of the hippest fellows out there, right? It's satisfaction and luxury, wishes fulfilled, but also, very importantly, emotional stability. And in this reading, this card signifies you, Virgo. Very beautiful. You're covered here by the Page of Pentacles. This is a youthful energy of idealism, but it's also ambition. And this person is very driven to move toward this ideal that he has, to embody and to hold up this perfect desire, this focus of his diligence, this focus of his vigilance, his attention, his focus. So this has brought you emotional contentment and a bounty that you can share. This is the second time we've had the Chariot as an obstacle card. So it's kind of a discombobulation, right? You had those sphinxes lined up and they were moving in the right direction and they were moving together, and then the wheels fell off. It's a lack of control. It's kind of a lack of direction, but in an aggressive way. It's kind of something went wildly out of control here for you, or is going wildly out of control for you here. Let's see what happens next. Moving on to calmer waters. So if there is kind of an upset apple cart or a sense of loss of control, that's not a bad thing. We don't really have control here, and in the end, we need to be prepared for that sort of thing. And it looks like you've got a preparation here with the Six of Swords. The transition is going from choppy water to smooth water, leaving something behind. It's still a movement forward, though. So even if you got sidetracked or a little off track, it looks like you're able to move forward logically and at least in your ideas. Now, this Page of Swords is your foundation. This creature is very, very focused, kind of like the Page of Pentacles, but on a completely different set of principles. He is more focused on curiosity is part of it, but not all of it. It's mental energy toward investigative understanding. Like, he is digging deeply, and in some readings of the Page of Swords, he's a spy. His mental energy and restlessness and chattiness, though, in this particular case reminds me of more of like gossip or, maybe this contentment and idealism got off track by someone's restless energy, someone's chatty interference, someone's gossiping. So, it reminds me of the paparazzi. It could be something like an investigative reporter, some malicious. I guess that's probably coming up for me because of what's in the news right now. But at the same time, we don't have a good light on media right now. And somebody was reporting negatively here, even though it was well intended and well begun. You're moving away from this kind of romanticism. So looks like the blush is off the bloom to a certain degree. Something fell. And that's how things go, right? There's a cycle of repair, harmony, disrepair, right? It doesn't go in that order. It goes harmony, repair, harmony, disrepair, repair. But it does have different iterations and goes in different directions. So, if what fell apart for you was something of a romance, maybe it had something to do with your idealist tendencies. That makes sense to me. Maybe your idealism kind of fell. You were following your heart and there was a problem, or something of the world kind of took it down. If there was a disappointment like that, it looks like you're moving away from romanticism. You're moving away from idealism. And you're moving toward a victory, a creative victory. It's not the most long-lived. This is kind of a victory parade. So, it's a success for sure. It's public reward and recognition. It's a very positive card. But since all the other cards were in different suits, it's something completely new for you. It represents the same sort of thing of going from this choppy water to the smoother water. There's a sense in that card where, there's a bit of shame that's going out with them. And in this card, there's a bit of a temporary quality. Those are the only downsides with that. You're definitely moving on to smoother water, and you're celebrating a victory with public recognition, which is good, because if it was public recognition that was the problem, then it seems like there's a solution there. Regardless, right now, you're feeling a little left out in the cold. These two are struggling. They don't have all the resources that they need, but they have each other, and they've created a new kind of community. And that's kind of a lovely message. Solidarity in troubled times is not always easy to come by. And it's nice to have someone else who is like-minded and thinking like you and doesn't really want to go back into that church for one reason or another. They don't really want to go back in there. And it could be the crowd, right? Sometimes you just got to go your own way and celebrate your own victory with more like-minded people. Regardless, you're not feeling great at the moment, but all around you is the Wheel of Fortune. Another chance in this major arcana card, the second in your read here. The Wheel of Fortune is about change and cycles and inevitable fate, but it's also about luck. So, good luck, bad luck, who knows? But inevitably, you're going to have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move toward these better fortunes, even if they don't look as glamorous or as ideal or as romantic as what was once. There's a way in which this renewal is bringing you a different kind of success. And that's great news. You want to sample all the different types of success that you can. You're still afraid though. This guy with the sword took some wind out of your sails. No two ways about it. And you got to carry some of those swords with you into the next chapter of your story. But the good news about the Ten of Swords, because everything plays out on a continuum, right? Nothing is either good or bad, but that our perception makes it so. I just badly quoted Shakespeare. Sorry about that. Anyway, the Ten of Swords is the end of the betrayal. Like, there's nothing worse that can happen. The wheels have fallen off. It is done. It is over. This is the end of a negative cycle of thought for you. But you're going to have to change the way you think in order to move into a better place. And sometimes that means turning your back on what you know and going into places that you've never been before. Looks like you're going to be able to do it though. This knight represents the defense of ideals. And it may be that you've come to a new set after what's gone on here. Like you've got a bigger understanding of what really matters to you, what hills you're willing to die on, you know, which actions defend your beliefs, and how you would go about doing that. If what took you down here, or what took you down a notch here, was something that somebody said, I don't think you're going to let that happen again. I think you're going to be able to know how thoughts and words work in the world, how failure, collapse, defeat, and, you know, backstabbing, what the underlying value of that is in the material world. Like, what did it, I know this sounds awful because it's like, it sucked and it was horrible, but what did it give you? What was the lesson in the failure? What was the lesson in the backstabbing? Do you know better who to trust now? Do you know better who you are? Do you know your ideal better? Maybe the lesson isn't revealed yet, but it looks like you will be able to summon the right answer at a moment's notice when you're called upon to do it, because he is a man of action. And he is a person who fights from his experience, defends what's dear to him from his experience. And he's not afraid to do it, right? The fear has gone out of this whole thing. Once you reach there, it's pointless to fear. And you can also see the dawn coming. The base card of your reading is the Two of Wands. I like to think of this one as Alexander after the conquest, right? He's got everything he needs, but he's planning a new direction to learn more. And I like the way these wands signify your new direction, because everything here is kind of made and manufactured, but the wands are natural. It's like you kind of got pushed out of the sausage grinder and now you're a completely newly formed being with a whole new set of interests, ways of living, ways of thinking. And, you know, the energy and the creation and the willpower is in the new inspiration, the new plan. And it looks like you've had enough of a certain experience to leave home, and you're planning a new direction. So while you're on the road, I'm looking at all these horses too. The two sphinxes and the three horses. All have very different kind of expressions about how they're being driven and impelled forward. I think because this is occurring in your 6th house of employment, I'm thinking about your employment as a vehicle. Like if it didn't go well in the last place, you might think about doing something more creative. This go. The iconography here seems to point to that being a good idea, or at least something that you could look into, especially if you're thinking about starting anew, going to a new place of employment, a new group of people to work with. And your animal card is the whale, the record keeper. Good news, because whatever you blundered into or whatever happened here, I think mistakes are good things, so forgive me if I sound insensitive, but I don't think there's any other way we learn. I really don't. If there is, I wish we would do it. But it looks like it's been recorded by your soul. It was, in that case, something that your soul wanted to understand and your soul wanted to learn. We don't get to know the reasons why while we're here. The implication is that we will when we leave here. But it's really important to try and remind yourself that you're not from here, right? So it's reasonable to make mistakes while you're a spirit in a body. That's the real value of the material world, is learning how to refine yourself, your character, while you're here. And it looks like this was one for the books. Good job. Also, crow is law. And it's not like natural law or man-made law. It's the unknown cosmic law of life and shadow and the polar opposites of materialism. Like, why are we doing this matter dance? There's a value to it that we don't understand yet. But as we go along in our journey, if we're lucky, we do get glimpses of it, and it coheres into a whole in the Akashic. And in that record, that's the place where it really matters. I just want to say, good job, Virgo. I think you did a good job here, and I think you're moving on to a new creative arena. I'm really hoping that this reading served you in some way. It was really wonderful for me, and thank you for letting me see it, for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I appreciate you so much. See you on the next new moon.